Welcome to my video series, How to Get People to Say Yes. My name is Michael Stevens. I'm the founder of Ethical Marketing Academy. This is episode 1, and in this short video series, we're going to explain how you can make little changes in your language that will actually get people to say yes to you instead of no. Listen, if you're a small business owner, it is one of the worst things when you have a great product, service, or program, and no matter what you say to people, they tell you no. And so the first language pattern that we're going to discuss here is called the what if pattern. And the reason this pattern works is because if we think of the mind, you actually have two parts of your mind. You have your conscious mind, which is the part of your mind that you're aware of everything around you. It's the part of your mind you have that internal dialogue you talk to yourself with. And it's the part of your mind, most importantly, that's logical and analytical, right? Your subconscious mind is the other part of your mind. 99.994% of your mind is your subconscious mind. And it is more emotive and creative and resourceful. Right? Conscious mind is not very resourceful usually. And so usually it's the conscious mind that's telling you no. And I like to think of the conscious mind sort of like, if you think about, have you ever been to a country like England where they have a monarchy, right? You go to Buckingham Palace, there's a big gate, there's a big palace. The important person's inside, the king or the queen who makes the decisions. Everybody wants to talk to them, but of course they've got these guards at the gate. And the job of the guards is to keep you out. Right? Everybody wants to talk to the king or the queen because that's the important person. You want to influence them so that you can get something. But the guards are outside preventing you from talking to them. And that really is the relationship of the conscious and the unconscious mind. The conscious mind is like a guard standing at the gate of the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is actually in charge of all decisions. All buying decisions are made at the unconscious level. The conscious mind justifies it later with logic. That's right. So this first language we're going to talk about is called the what if pattern. And it works because it actually takes the person out of the conscious logical thinking where they can't answer the question, and it takes them into the unconscious mind, which is where the creative, resourceful, imaginative part of the mind is. And so it works something like this. If somebody tells you, for example, I can't afford it, right? Your response to them, rather than the logical, analytical, was, well, let's put you on a payment plan. How many payments can you afford? Do you have a credit card? All that kind of stuff, right? Instead of trying to solve the problem, we simply ask a question that allows them to tap into the most resourceful part of their mind, the unconscious mind. So when a person says, I can't afford it, you could say, what if you could afford it? Now, a lot of people, if you're thinking logically, you might say, that's not going to change anything. Listen, I've been in business for 30 years. I've seen this happen thousands of times. I've literally had people tell me I can't afford it, and 5 minutes later, they're pulling out a credit card or writing me a check. Okay, so while it doesn't make sense logically that this language pattern works, it works very, very well. If a person says, I'm just not sure, you could say, well, what if you took it home today and tried it out for 3 days, right? What happens with the what if is, it takes people out of the logical conscious mind right inside the gate to where the real resourcefulness and creativity is. And people start getting more into the emotional. And listen, people buy in emotions, they justify with logic, right? So we have to appeal to that emotional part of the mind first. So I'll give you an example of one time this happened. I had a guy who came to me. He had been through several of my programs and he wanted to go to this very advanced training, right? And it was a several $1,000 training. And so he comes to me and he said, listen, I've had such a great time. This is amazing. I really want to go to this other training, but I can't afford it. I don't have the money. And so rather than trying to argue with him, rather than trying to justify the price, rather than going the logical route of payment plans and credit cards and all that stuff, I simply said, well, what if you did have the money? Where would it have come from? Now, you might notice that that language pattern sounds a little weird. There's something a little off with it that doesn't make grammatical sense, and that's okay. I'm actually going to explain that on another one of my videos coming up called the temporal reframe. But again, I asked him the question, what if you did have the money? Where would it have come from? And all of a sudden, his eyes defocus, and he kind of looks away like this, and he goes, well, I do have the money, but I can't touch it, right? So listen to what happened just with one question. No arguing, no justification, no logic, no being, like problem solving, any of that. I just asked him this one question and he suddenly went from the reality, his reality of I don't have money to I do have money, but I can't touch it. One language pattern actually shifted his reality. And that's what this is about. This isn't about getting a sale. To me, it's about having a person become so resourceful that it actually shifts their reality. And again, I've had this happen thousands of times. Now, we still have a problem because now he says, I have the money, but I can't touch it, right? So rather than me arguing with him or trying to come up with brainstorm, solutions to the problem, I simply said, What if you did? And he looks away again and he defocuses his eyes and he goes, well, I do have a tax return coming in a week or two. I guess I could just put the money back. Sure, I'll sign up now, right? And I handed him an order form. He filled it out. He paid in full for, I think it was a roughly $6,000 training, right? So this is the power of what if. And again, it's not logical. I don't expect it to make any logical sense for you. I've got 27 years of experience in neurolinguistic programming, studying the mind, right? As well as studying, business and sales, which is mostly logical. I've really studied the mind and how these kind of little language patterns, these little tweaks to your language can actually shift your results, even though it doesn't make any sense. So I encourage you, try the what if pattern next time somebody tells you no. And you could play with different versions of this. What if you did have the money? Or what if you took it home? Or what if your wife did say yes when you called her? It really doesn't matter as long as you start with the words what if, right? And then continue on. Now, another variation of this that you can use are the words just suppose. Just suppose you did have the money. Where would it come from? It just gives you a little more flexibility in the way that you ask the question. Try this language pattern out. Come back here and comment. Let me know how it works for you. I can't wait to hear it. And if you love this, by the way, if you love this kind of stuff, you're going to love our training called Influence to Profit. Influence to Profit is all about how to use ethical influence and persuasion in your business so that you can get more people to say yes to you. And keep your eye out for the next episode, episode 2. Oh, and be sure to visit our website, www.ethicalmarketing.com. You can sign up right there on the front of the website, and I'll give you a bunch of gifts just for signing up on our email list. You're going to love it, and I will talk to you on the next video.